Lord God, thank you for the day, for the sunshine, for the optimism, for the sun rising and the sun setting, and for what seems to be like things will go on forever, but we know they won't. So, Lord, help us to be men who follow hard after you. Thank you for these gentlemen here giving their afternoon to learn a little something about a new approach for men. Pray your blessing on this service, or excuse me, on this session, and on each one here, Lord. May we have ears that hear you as you speak to us through your word in Jesus' name. Amen. Well, welcome, guys. I'm delighted to have you here and delighted to be invited to come and tell you about The Bridge. It's a ministry that's been going on for some time. I've been developing it for about 3 years now. We've been in operation about 16 months, and it's pretty powerful, and I'm excited to tell you all about it. A little bit about me. I spent 39 years of my working career in media, broadcasting and television. Had ABC and CBS stations, owned and managed 3 CBS stations out of Eugene, the last part of my career. After I quit doing that, I loved working with teams. And so I began an executive coaching practice, and a number of my former clients I still worked with, and that was a great privilege. And about 6, 8, 7 months into that, we had a major change in our church. It's a fairly large church in Eugene. Pastor got lupus and needed to retire, so they asked me to come on board and be the executive pastor to run the staff for about a 5-month period. And then we had an interim guy, and he needed somebody, and then we had the new guy. And so I worked for 3 senior pastors over a 3.5-year period. As executive pastor, we had 14 pastors in operation, but I had the privilege of doing that for a period of time, and then when things were righted and we felt good about it, I moved on and went back into my coaching career, where I worked with CEOs and their organizations on leadership and development, on making right decisions and doing right things in right ways. So that's my tent-making job, if you want to think of that. I'm not a retiring kind of guy, so I'm busy doing something. But this, when I was on the staff, it was at the core of what I really am concerned about for men in the church particularly. Let me tell you what today's goals are. Today we're going to talk about the concept behind the bridge. It's going to be an interactive session. You're not going to sit there and take notes and have some guy blather at you for an hour. We're going to actually do a little work. I want you to experience what it's like to be in a bridge group. So you're going to experience a mini session. Typically they last an hour and 15 minutes. I'll describe more about that later, but for right now it'll be compressed, but I want you to at least have the outline of the experience so you can kind of get the idea of what it's about. When you do this, I will tell you that this format has a 95% success rate for people who follow it. When was the last time you did something for men that you could guarantee would be 95% successful if they followed the plan? So that's what we're going to do. We'll show you that. Let's talk a little bit about the current state of men in the church. You guys are here, and bless you for being here, to come and learn, to enjoy, to kind of fellowship with one another. But do you think most men really feel connected and involved and committed to the church that they belong to and they attend? The majority. Do you think that phenomenon is growing or declining? More and more men, less and less committed. And if you talk to Barna or look at church statistics nationwide, you will see that the church is in decline. So what can be done about it? I will tell you this is not the only effort going on around the country where people are trying to figure out what can we do to solve the problems for men and get them engaged. There's a group of guys down in Salem called Ministry to Men. It's a great group of churches in the Salem area. Anybody from Salem area know about this? Okay. Some of the things that they say in their brochure, I had a meeting with them yesterday because they want to look at this format potentially for them. And my hope for you is that you will consider using this format that we'll be showing you today in your churches or men's group as well. Here's what they say. America has a problem, a man problem. That has overwhelmed families, divorce courts, social services, schools, and the criminal justice system. So many men lead lukewarm, often defeated lives, and they hate it. Another quote, we live and raise our children in a culture that is a world without fathers, a world without gender, a world without real masculinity, and this is why we need to equip and empower men to become effective disciples for Jesus Christ. That's from a speech from a gentleman in Springfield, Virginia. And then here's another one, last one. Every man needs a vision. They need training. They need support to accomplish their vision in their faith journey through a relationship with Jesus Christ, the author and model and sustainer for maximized manhood. That's from Next Steps Ministry in Sherwood, Oregon. Sound familiar? So here's a question for you. Do we need to keep doing what we're doing, or do we need to make some changes? Anybody got that definition of insanity? What is it? Somebody speak it out. Sanity is when you keep doing the same thing over and over and expect different results. So there's these two elk hunters, and they go into Alaska every year for elk, and a bush pilot flies them in and lands them, and then he comes back and picks them up a week later. So these guys go in. They bag a couple of big elk. Pilot comes back, picks them up, looks around, and says, "Guys, nice job here today." He says, "I think we're gonna have to take 2 loads out because got a lot of gear, and those 2 elk are pretty good size." He says, Bill says, "That's not what the pilot said last year, was it, Harry?" He said, "No, he didn't say that." Well, guys, I've been flying a long time up here in Alaska. I know what my plane can do, what it can't do. And Bill says, "Well, that's not what the pilot said last year, is it, Harry?" He said, "Nope." And he says, "Those are the same size elk as we got last year." He says, "Really?" "That's right." Pilot's intimidated, loads it up, takes off, screams down the runway, barely clears the top of the trees, misses. Crash lands on the other side of the field, knocks everybody out. They wake up. Bill says, "Harry, where are we?" Harry says, "Well, looks like we're about 50 yards further than last year." So I tell you, when we keep doing the same thing in the same way and keep looking for different results, it oftentimes doesn't work. Y'all have pens with you? You ever see this before? Some of you may know how to do this exercise, but don't tell the ones next to you how to do it. So here's the exercise. Take your piece of paper and draw those 9 dots just like that on a piece of paper, real quick. It's on the back of one of them. You know how to do it? Yeah. Okay. Write those nine dots down. Everybody got them? Okay, here's the exercise. Take your pen, start on any dot you choose. You'll make 4 straight lines without moving your pencil or pen from the page. So you stay connected to the page, start on any dot, make 4 straight lines, and connect all the dots. You have 1 minute. Go. Okay, wrap. Who's got it? Anybody have it? Anybody? Doyle thinks he knows how to do it. Show us how, Doyle. What's the trick Doyle used, guys? Okay, so the trick is, the old outside the box. Who's heard that phrase before? Let's think outside the box. All right, ready, set, go. Do that. How do you do that? Thanks. Good job, Bill. So what's the reason that we have trouble fulfilling that or doing that exercise? So what are some of the reasons? Just shout them out. You're just looking at the dots. Habit. Social norms, good one. What else? Lacking creativity. That's a good one. Say that again. Your pain has not exceeded your expectations. If you don't hurt enough, you won't change. And we all know the story of the frog in the hot water, right? You can put the frog in the hot water and you can boil him and he won't jump out, right? So, to what degree do you think we as a church, in what we do and how we do it, is in that zip code? Some? A lot? Too much? 2/3, says Doyle. Okay. So here's what the scripture says. This is out of 1 Peter 5:8. It says, be alert and of sober mind. Your enemy, the devil, prowls around like a roaring lion looking for someone to devour. Many of you been around, but that's one way the devil comes after you, or the enemy comes after you. But C.S. Lewis, in his Screw Tape Letters, and you read that, I'll paraphrase it. Basically what he says is, Satan says this: hey, it's a lot better if they say they believe in God, but they never talk about him, nor is their belief ever seen in their actions. So anybody, that's called a hypocritical Christian, isn't it? And how many times have we heard people talk about the hypocrisy of people of faith? So do you think men who attend but don't act out their faith feel hypocritical? I mean, yeah. And I think they is me, because I'm going to raise my hand on that one. I don't think I always do the best job of living what I say I believe, and making sure that that guy just passed on the wrong side or whatever thinks, wow, what a nice Christian to pass me on the right. Or whatever other knucklehead thing my wife reminds me I just did. She's good at that. I tell her she has job security. So, time is the great commodity. That's the enemy. Time is what who has enough time? How many of you have all the time you need? And how many guys are retired here? You ask the retired guys, what happened to all your time? They say, I don't know, it's all gone, right? It's all gone. So it's an interesting, let me give you a historical view of time. It's kind of interesting. When the country was found, 99% of us, 95% of us grew things for a living. We were agricultural farmers. We were tilling our land. We were just trying to survive in our little plot that we had, 95%. Then we come and we measured seasons in months, years, the fall, that kind of thing. Then comes the industrial age. Most of us, the vast majority of us, begin to make things for a living, working in factories, and we're measuring time in shifts, in hours, in seconds, minutes. We're getting stuff done. And it's cranking it up, and we've got that going on. Then we get out of the industrial age and we go into the information age, because we're smart enough to get machines and other equipment to do what man used to do. So now we're managing information. And we're measuring time in the information age in nanoseconds, millionths of a second. And now we've got even beyond that. We're in what they call the age of productivity, where we are convinced that we can multitask in nanoseconds. Multitasking is a myth, but it's one that we all kind of try and play at some level, because we've got so stinking much stuff to do, we can't quite get her all done. Sound familiar? So we have to change the game plan. Great teams have inspiring slogans to build a fire under their team. Anybody have a team slogan that your particular team has? Anybody think of one? In the day. Who's that? University of Oregon. Chip Kelly. He just says it's all about today. Win it. Don't lose it. Win it. So talk about next week or tomorrow. Don't talk about the game on Saturday. We're winning today. Okay? Anybody know Oregon State's now? Mike had a great one, but Mike Riley. I'm not sure if the new coaches that we've heard that much yet, but I can tell you that Vince Lombardi, the guy who's the Super Bowl trophy is named after, the great Packer coach, he said to his team, perfection is impossible to achieve. But if we chase perfection, we might catch excellence. So we can't be perfect. Even though the world says, you're Christian? Well, I've seen you before. God commands us in James 1:22 this: don't merely listen to the word and so deceive yourselves. Do what it says. Don't merely listen to the word and deceive yourselves. Do what it says. Do what it says. So God wants to build not only a fire under us, he wants to build a fire in us, doesn't he? In us, not just under us. Not just, okay, Coach, okay, I'm pushing up. But why? Why are we doing what we're doing? We have to have that raison d'etre, the reason for being. So do we have that time to do the right thing in the right way? That's why we're here. We're to show you how to create the time that will change men's lives. I will absolutely tell you that that's happening in what we're doing here. So let me ask you something. On a Sunday, or anytime you have a worship service or a song or a message or a class or whatever, what's more important? What's said or what's heard? Okay. What's more important? What's heard or what's felt about what's heard? Felt? I heard it. I heard it. How I feel about it. Uh-huh. Or, wow. It's an up and down. Now what's more, huh? Okay, I'm going to come over and whack you with this microphone. He didn't hear. So busy listening he wasn't hearing. So there's the last question. What's more important? What you feel or what you do with what you feel? So men check the box on Sunday in the main. We go to church, we hear the message, did it, thanks. Now I got to go out and slay the dragon, bring home the bacon, and get out of my way, right? So the problem here is that we don't often have time to do the right things. So what I want to do here with the balance of our time for about a half an hour now, and I want to save a little bit of time at the end, is rather than yammer at you, I want to take you through this particular exercise, and at the end we'll have a little bit of time to talk about it. Now, when we have started, I gave you all a little flyer sheet right off the top. That's what this session is all about. If you know of somebody who wasn't here, who should come to this, a pastor, a area leader, anything like that, or guys that just attend, if you wouldn't mind passing that on, that'd be great. The second thing I want to talk to you about is that sheet that has what men say they like, what they want. That one that says, the key one. Yeah. What's it say on the top? Optimistic hopes, fears, and concerns. Take a look at that. Have you all had a chance to look at that? So when I ask men at the start of a formation of a bridge group, what are your optimistic hopes for being here? Over a 16-month period with all the groups we've started, this is a kind of a synthesis of things that the guy said. See if you agree. Do the same thing for fears and concerns. Everybody get it? Anybody add anything to those lists? What you got, Doyle?
When people are standing against you and want you to do what they want rather than you standing firm in what God's asking you to do.
Okay. That's a good one. Any others, guys? Commitment to each other. Yeah. Somebody once said, let's make a commitment to our commitment. Yes. You're in. That's a good one. Don't wait. Now would be fine. Just talked to a fellow up near the near the registration booth, and I was asking him about life in general, and he just lost his wife. They've been in retirement. They were off on a trip. She got feeling a little ill, and 30 days later she died. Just instant, just massive cancer, boom, gone. 57 years old he was. Just wow. So we all know about situations like that. No doubt you've seen them in your families. So I want to get right to this, guys, and give us a little bit of time. You're going to the bridge is small groups of men. It can be as small as 3. It's ideally 8. And if you have 80 guys in your church, you could have 10 groups of 8. It doesn't matter whether your church is 25 people or 250 people or 2,500 people. This works exactly the same. Size of the church doesn't matter. This is not about teaching. This is about application. It's what you do with what you already know. And if you don't already know it, you will just do it one verse, one step at a time. So what we're looking for in the bridge is looking at one key thing, one key aspect, and you'll hear about it today. You'll do an exercise, and at the end of it, you're going to be asked to do a nudge. We say we're putting God's faith into action one nudge at a time. A nudge is this. That's a nudge. It isn't a giant leap with a pole. We're just asking you to do a nudge. If you do a lot of them, it's amazing what happens. So everybody can do a nudge. Not everybody can do this monumental commitment. So what we want to do is say the key features of this group. You can look at what we're going to do. And at the end of this, guys, if you have questions, I'll be around here through tomorrow. And golly, I'm just ready to line up with anybody, talk to your group in your site or whatever, buttonhole me at dinner or whatever. I'm here to answer all of your questions. I don't know if we get them all done today. We got a session at 3 and then none after that. So this is biblically based. It's for men. It's application or solution oriented. It's not information or teaching oriented. Teachers have a little bit harder time with this because they want to stop and teach. It isn't about what you teach, it's what you think right now. Why are you thinking that? What's going on with that? What do you think? Why did you say that? So it's practical efforts to put men's faith into their workplace, by extension, all aspects of their life. It's mentor-driven, accountability with other men. It stretches you. The bar is set high for growth. We want growth in you. You want growth in me. It's structured, so it's agenda-driven. You're going to work. So these are timed exercises, and you're supposed to create a product at the end, and the product is the nudge and a commitment to what I'm going to do. Put faith in my life. In love and free. Use of relevant topics of the day. You'll see that in today's lesson. There's never a day that we don't do the bridge. It's 52 weeks a year, unless a major holiday falls on the day we happen to be doing it. It's prayerful. It's fun. Multiple meetings. You can have the meeting at any time, anywhere. It's more helpful if all the groups meet together. And it's all driven by the web. So whatever lesson is on there, it's posted each week. You pull it off. You run some copies. The guys show up. They pick up the page. They sit in the chair, and they go to work. No advanced study, no book reading, no fill in the blanks, nothing. It's all about application. Here's how we're going to do it. Ideal groups of 8, so I'd like the first 2 rows of each area to have the first row pull forward a little bit, turn around, and form a little circle. And by the way, when we're done, I want to put these chairs back. Second 2 groups, you're about what you need to be. So you'll have you turn around, the third chair turn around, face the other ones. Listen, let me give you a couple more instructions. There's 3 jobs in a bridge group. So I want to make sure you hear this. 3 jobs. First one's a facilitator. Second one is a timekeeper. Third one is a scribe or a supply person. There's other extended roles. We won't have much to do with those roles today, but I need somebody in each group to say, I will look at the format and I will follow it through. I want somebody to the right of that person will be the timekeeper. Okay? When I say it's time to move on to the next one, I'm going to come and point to that to you guys, and you're going to say, okay, guys, it's time to move on. And it'll feel a little rushed. What I found is guys want to over-talk in the beginning of these things, but by the time they've done it about 4 to 6 weeks, they get it. They're here to go to work. They speak in paragraphs, not in books. They don't tell long-winded stories. If somebody happens to do that, some guys want to talk more than others, that's okay. You want to hear from the quiet guy too. We haven't heard from you yet. What are you thinking? That kind of stuff, okay? So form your groups, and I'll make sure that we'll have the scribes after somebody in the group say, or you look at somebody and say, do it. You lead us, okay? Right now, I'll give you 1 minute to fill those roles. Okay. You guys. Um, it, well, he needs to shape it up. So here's the deal. The first question, if you were in this group, you would already be doing this. You'd show up. They'd say, "Hey guys, how's your week? Let's check in with each other." Well, this, that, and the other thing. And sometimes bad things happen. You need to hear about that. It can take the session a different direction. Sometimes it doesn't happen often. You're here to go to work to finish the exercise. So just say what your name is, what church you go to, and if you weren't here, what's your favorite thing to do in your time off. That's your exercise. I want you to complete that particular part of it, what we call the 620 version, and usually you can see it's about 20 minutes long. Because at the end of that, at the end of checking in, what the guys do is give their nudge report. What did I commit to last week, and how did I do? So we're here to check in with each other. You won't be doing that this time, but you'll be doing it at the end of this session. Ready, set? Okay, take about 4 minutes and go ahead and do your introductions. The scribe should pass those out to everybody. Everybody should get a copy of it. So if you're showing up at a bridge group in any area, somebody would have run these things off. You come in at the table, you check in, you check your name next to the date. Yeah, I was here. You pick up your sheet, you get your cup of coffee, and you go sit down and you get ready to go to work. And at 6:15, we say, "Okay, guys, let's go to work." Ready, set, go. You guys done? Yeah. So if you're done, facilitator start at 6:40 session. Read the statement and then the individual questions, and then just try and get as much participation on the actual question as you can. Okay. You done? Okay. Start at the 6:40. You would read it. They'd all look at it, and then you'd ask the specific questions. And make sure you everybody. Okay. There. Okay, who's the facilitator? Okay, so you read the 640 statement, and read those questions one at a time, not both at the same time. Start on the first one, and then try and get some discussion going. Ask people who aren't speaking, hey, what do you think? And then read the second one. Okay. You guys ready to go? Perfect. Did somebody read the statement off the top? Way ahead of us. Okay, go up as quickly as possible, please. And when you're done, if you turn your chairs back toward the front, we'll wrap it. Okay, guys, let's wrap it. And I have a session starting in about 3 or 4 minutes here. So guys, I hope you can see in that mini compressed exercise how powerful this can be, right? I mean, this really gets to the core really fast. And Joel was telling me in the last, the way I phrased the Spirit of God works in you and speaks to you for you to do it. It's not how are you going to do something, it's how the Spirit's going to work in you. So thanks for that, Joel. He's there to be my guide and mentor too. And Joel and a number of people in our church are really all over this ministry, and he does a great job of helping in all kinds of ways. So thanks for that, Joel. Now, fellows, at the end, what's going on here is men tend to live in the land of good intentions. We always mean well. Yeah, I'm going to do that. We intend to do well, but we aren't making the commitment to make it actually happen. If you get men to actually stop, drop, and roll and make a commitment and be accountable, 95% of the time when you write it down, it's successful. So what happens is and this is the American Society for Training and Development have come up with this specific statistic. If you meet in a group of people and you write something down and you're committed to coming back to them, 95% of the time it's successful. So you need to encourage men to be there. We say it's okay. It's okay to miss. You can come and not come as you can, and it's okay to not do your nudge. But it's not okay to stay there. It's okay to be okay to be where you're at. It's not okay to stay where you're at. What are you going to do? I need something from you. Hey, let's talk. You're having a problem. Let's go have some coffee. That's what men are looking for when you look at that other sheet. Good habits eat good intentions for breakfast. We can intend to do well, but if you don't develop a habit, a specific habit, it's not going to work. So that's in the Spirit. The Scripture calls for us to be in action. So I want to quit living in the land of good intentions. And I can tell you for sure that small things done for a long period of time, like this, nudges, create far more changes than one big thing in a short period of time. I'm committed to making this ministry happen wherever I'm given the privilege of speaking, and I want to see it. It's so easy to do. There's a website. You have that contact information. You have my phone number. I'd love to see this in your church or in your men's group or in whatever. All you do is go online and register. There's a small fee we ask each guy to kick in just to help defray the expenses. It's not much. And you can just start this with or without a pastor helping. It can be any group, anywhere, anytime. We like it to be right now. It's for men. Some women have said, hey, we're going to do the Bridge Women. We have the bridgewomen.org as well, but we don't have it amped up quite as yet. So I just want to start with this particular group. I know that time is kind of short, and I wasn't sure how this was going to go. This is the first time we've done it this way. So I apologize I don't have a lot of time for Q&A, but we got maybe a couple of questions, and then just look me up. I'll be around here after the 3 o'clock session if you want to check back with me or call me or email me or whatever, okay?